The war in Ukraine has forced millions of children to evacuate. UNICEF says about 5 million kids have fled so far. That's more than 2/3 of Ukraine's children. But what about the ones who can't leave? Who's watching out for them? This invasion has left many children unaccompanied, without parents or guardians. Some were orphans before Russia attacked. According to UNICEF, unaccompanied minors are at a higher risk of violence, exploitation, and trafficking. And for those with disabilities, the challenges are even greater. The nonprofit group Abundance International supports more than a dozen Ukrainian orphanages. During this war, it's been working to feed and care for orphan children throughout the country. Joining us now is Mark Davis, founding director of Abundance International, and he's joined by his wife, Anna Davis, who is also with the organization. Welcome to the program. Good to have you both with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Mark, could I start by just asking you, you're here in the U.S. right now, in Nevada, but you've been in Ukraine for a good portion of this war. Describe some of the things that orphans are dealing with now, maybe things that are different or harder than they were even before the war started.
Correct. We've been dealing with supporting orphanages for 10 years. And I lived there most of the time, and I've been there since day one of the war. And the challenges immediately came to us, both from supplies, from dealing with panicked children, for them having to rush downstairs to bomb shelters every time an air raid siren would go off, 3 or 4 times a day, and the fear in these kids. And every single orphanage is facing different challenges regarding loss of food. You can see where we've had to resupply food. Some weren't getting medical things they need for special needs kids. These aren't cough syrups. These are very specialized medicines. And the gaps have been everywhere. We keep trying to expand. We're doing to reach more. And at abundanceinternational.org, the donations of all you people have helped make this happen. You can see it right there, what we're doing to keep these kids taken care of who can't leave the country. 85% of these orphans are not able to, or because of physical needs or the willingness or ability to get out of the country, because there's a big legal challenge as well to transport the liability of an orphan child to somebody else on the other side who's going to medically take care of them, legally take care of them, facilities, finances, nursing care. Right. This isn't like putting kids in the back of your station wagon and driving across the border.
It seems like a quite Herculean task, as you describe it, Mark. But Anna, I also kind of wonder about the task inside Ukraine. I mean, I can only imagine what it's like, Anna, for the two of you to help coordinate food, supplies, and logistics with everything that's going on the ground and make sure that everything gets to where it's supposed to be.
I'm born and raised from Mykolaiv, and right now, actually, my family evacuated like 10 hours ago because it's become incredibly dangerous for them. But we have people, volunteers, who are still in different cities, who are willing to help kids, even with danger. They want to stay behind and they want to help them. So while we're here, we contacted them and they're helping us to do this.
You said your family evacuated today, Anna? They just evacuated?
They just evacuated today, like at 9 a.m. my time, because I was begging them to leave. They refused. But about 10 days ago, there was a missile dropped in my neighbor's backyard, which is extremely close to my house. And luckily, it did not explode. And my family is still alive. And past 3 to 4 days, it's been extremely dangerous in Mykolaiv right now. So they decide to finally to leave. And I'm super grateful they're right now in Chernivtsi, which is close to Slovakia, where they don't have too many bombings.
Well, Mark, in light of that, first of all, Anne, I'm glad your family was able to get moving. I hope that they have safe travels as they continue to try to stay safe from all of this. But Mark, in light of all that, I wonder how you deal with taking care of staff on the ground. I understand that you lost contact with an orphanage director in Kherson since this war began.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going back next week because there's so much to do. But here's the real heartbreaking trauma of this. 3 or 4 of the orphanages we care for now are in the Kherson district, which is now in Russian control. The main one we have loved and cared for over 6 years, did all of the roof, the heating, brought food, loved these kids, held them in our hands. They disappeared, and the last we heard from them is March 8th. And this is 58 children, a third of which are special needs. And all we hear is rumors that the Russians are taking these kids, and we have no other evidence to support anything else. because we're still in contact with the other 3 orphanages in the Kherson district and helping them get supplies even behind enemy lines. So these are 58 kids. We really are just fearfully concerned that they're already in Russia somewhere.
If we could put that map back up again, I know tonight is turning into a bit of a geography lesson, but just to be clear about what we're looking at, you see down there in the bottom, in the south, Mykolaiv and Kherson very close to one another. They kind of sit where the Black Sea runs into the Dniprovska Gulf and then part of the Dnipro River that flows into the Black Sea. So we're talking about generally that same region where, as we mentioned earlier tonight, the Ukrainian government says that it attacked a Russian ship and forced its evacuation. The Russian government says ammunition on board caught fire. The Ukrainians are claiming responsibility for having attacked that ship. Anna, let me ask you in terms of children with disabilities, orphans who have extra special needs on top of dealing with everything in this war. How are you taking care of them, especially since, some of them can evacuate, but if they had to move, depending on what their special needs are, that could make it vastly more difficult.
Yes, and we're really grateful because all the nannies who were taking care of kids before the war, they actually stayed behind, and none of them not leave them, and they stay with them and they provide the need for those kids. And it's been amazing because they have their own families, but they're still staying with those kids. And Mark just was there recently, so he saw how kids were in the basements and in the places where you just safe, because my whole family was staying this whole this time in the basement, very, very tiny basement, what we have in our house, 3 big adult people. So these little kids, it's heartbreaking to see, but luckily because of these nannies, they keep in good spirit, and other people, volunteers coming and helping them. And some kids are very hard to move, and you have to have special vehicles for those. And some places are very dangerous to move to, so they have to wait and see when they come and can go to different cities.
Anna, talk to me a bit more about those nannies and the kinds of things that they do to just keep the kids' spirits up, keep them from getting, depressed or scared. Like that's got to be tough work too, just allowing children to have some bit of their childhood in the middle of a war.
Our first orphanage where we started working with, it was in my hometown, Mykolaiv, because that's where I grew up, and that's where we started traveling and helping. We decided, we're here, we're grateful. I become American citizen, so I can help them. A little, just, $100 can help them so far. And usually, like with the original house where we helped, they have like 220 staff who help kids all the time, and they're all still there. And it's just amazing how I cannot describe how happy I am that they did not leave the kids behind to help their own families, and they're traveling with those kids, because everyone have families. We have friends right now who cannot leave that city because they don't want to leave grandma, mom behind. And you don't understand, because many people who are leaving, it's very hard to leave because you have someone behind and you don't know if they're going to survive or not. So I'm right now they moved to a different city and they're safe there. The city who have less bombings and less danger, they keep taking everyone else who want to help, who needs help.
Yeah.
Before I let you two go, I know, Mark, you'd mentioned your website, abundanceinternational.org. Obviously, we leave it to people to do their own research in terms of whether they choose to donate or not. But what are the biggest needs your organization has right now? And are you coordinating at all with the Ukrainian government to meet those needs, or are you a more independent nonprofit organization? Before we go, what are the biggest needs?
Thank you. Absolutely. We are an independent one, but we have it. If you go to the homepage at abundanceinternational.org, you see we got the endorsement and thanks from a parliamentary member of the Ukrainian government for the work we're doing. And I'm going back next week to set up a distribution center so we can take more of the humanitarian aid that's coming in and organize and structure our delivery systems independently to each of these orphanages, because I don't see another organization taking care of the ones who are stuck, who are in the country, to make sure that they get what they need. And what we're also doing to try to help these orphanages that are behind enemy lines, no one else is doing. And thank God for the provision, the prayer of people, for the help of networks like you, getting the word out to let people know that the work we're doing is good work and we're taking care of these kids. And God bless what Anna said about these nannies. These are the front care workers. Although they're personally terrified, their mothering heart keeps issuing calm to these children, saying, it'll be okay, honey, it'll be okay. We love them with our hearts, and This is deep in our DNA. Not only have we been here for a decade already, we'll be here long after this is done and continue to care for these kids, because 85% of these orphans are not going to be getting out of the country. They're still going to be there.
And you have to understand the benefits of being a private organization. We can buy expensive medicine and whatever they require, because sometimes what they really need, because sometimes government can only allow a special budget for those kids, and sometimes they need more. They need expensive one, and we can't provide that.
Anna and Mark Davis of Abundance International. Again, the site is abundanceinternational.org. Of course, do your own research, make your own decision as to whether or not you choose to support it. But I appreciate you two coming on to tell the story. Anna, I'm so glad that your family was able to evacuate to someplace safer.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, safe travels to them and to the two of you. Thank you both very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Joshua.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.